Go back up and live. Okay, everybody, we are back up and live, and the chat room is back open, and we were just starting to talk about animal prophecies. Let me see here. If you can hear us, let us know. And if you can't, we'll take that as a sign that the show is done. So here we are live with part 2. Okay, Rob is saying we're back right when we started talking about the prophecy of the white buffalo calf. So maybe that's an entire show in and of itself, but we were talking about the constellation ceremonies, and one of them coming up called honoring the winged relatives. And so when we say the winged relatives, we're putting them in a position of really being related. That is the essence of we are all related, Mitakuye Oyasi. When you hear that term, because you've been in many sweat lodges as well, Nicole Fix, when you hear that term, Mitakuye Oyasi, Mitakuye, what does that mean to you?
Oh, I think of, I think of compassion and how our hearts all beat the same rhythm. And what I see happening for so many is like the heart center just breaking wide open. And I think it's all to help us to be compassionate. You know, when we get too rigid in a belief about something, it's like something happens to really break us open and, you know, to find compassion. So, yeah, that's what I think of.
I like that. Linda, when you think of Mitakuye, you and I have been in UEPs together, NEPs together. We've been at Sundance together. We've done a lot of stuff together. When you hear Mitakuye, other than open the door because it's too hot in here, what do you think of? What do you think of those words, all my relatives?
We are all related. We're all one. And the big thing is we are not alone. And there's a web of guidance and strength all surrounding us that we can tap into.
I love that. And Kat, as we're wrapping up our time together, when you hear Mitakuye, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, you know, that was a saying that really, I think, was a significant shift in my life. A lot of it was because of the fact that the spiritual path that I grew up in taught separation. They taught us, to be separate from, versus really recognizing that we are all one, and we're all human beings. Our skin color might be different, the way I think about things may be different, but we really are one. And so that saying in and of itself was a huge change and shift in my life, and I really, those words just really means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm. When you say that, it makes me think about those of us that have tattooed our bodies with our totems. You have a totem tattooed on you. Todd has totems on him. And in the past several months, I've been working on an entire back piece on my back. And the highlights of both of those are wolf and raven. And around that are the ancestral patterns, or, the ancestral symbols, and everything having to do with my ancestors is now going on my back in ink for the rest of this here lifetime. Why did you feel compelled or desiring to have the tattoo of your totem put on your body?
Yeah, that's a really interesting and great question. I think one of the things that helps me to be is more connected to it, more connected to that. But it also reminds me every time I'm taking a shower or looking at myself in the mirror, if I don't have my shirt on, that I visually see it. Mm-hmm. And it's that reminder that, as Linda said, that we're not alone. We're all connected, and that it also reminds me of the medicine that they carry, that I also am carrying. So
I like that. And there are people, Lady Hawk is in the room. People have names. They've named themselves, or they've received a name from Spirit that says, this is your name now. There are family names that are animalistic. And, for me, in carrying my family's coat of arms, if you will, or my ancestors' coat of arms from very, very many different clans. So there's African artwork in the knot work. There's, of course, Celtic knot work, and Native work is going in there. So my ancestry literally is going all, from the bottom of my neck down to the base of my spine. But the focal point of both of those pieces are my ancestral, are my particular spirit totems. And I remember the time that Raven started working on the raven on my back. And she said to me, so what is it like for you, for me to be putting this on your back? And I said, I can feel it coming alive on my skin.
Yeah.
And so we wear feathers, we wear furs, we wear bones around our neck and teeth. And it's not relegated to only Indigenous people here in the United States. Indigenous people all over the world have worn the feathers and the furs and the bones and the skins for many reasons. And oftentimes it's so that we can become one with an animal. There's an affinity, or there's an attribute of the animal.
Think about the Vikings. There was a group called the Berserkers.
Yes.
And they would put on bear skin. And they believed that when they put that bear skin on, that they actually became more powerful. They became the bear. It was, we all come from tribal cultures. Mm-hmm. So we all come from some type of tribal culture. And so there is that connection with some type of animal, or it's just being able to go back far enough and find out what that was.
Right. And I love the advent of 23andMe, Ancestry.com, and we can really begin to look at our tribal roots, because our tribal roots give us clues to our affinity for the stars, or our correspondence to the stars, to the animals, to pieces of land, here on Grandmother Earth, to the soil, to the stones, to the rocks. There are countries that call us. When I think of Nicole Fix, I think of France and her love of France and having studied there. So I think that at all times, not only are our animal instincts, because I think that instinctively we're drawn to certain animals, as we've all said, or they're drawn to us. We choose pets based on that, or they choose us, because I do believe sometimes our animals, they choose us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think that there's something ancestral, there's something tribal, and I do believe that here in the West, we can forget that we are also tribal, that we come from a tribal people. Nicole, will you talk about for just a moment, from your perspective as a therapist, the loss of tribe here in the West?
Gosh, I guess I'm thinking just back to, we're hardwired for these relationships and being part of a community and feeling like we belong. Mm-hmm. And, I see so many people who feel so disconnected from themselves and from those tenets that we need to survive as mammals. Mm-hmm. A baby mammal will not survive without feeling love and, having touch. And so just that's what I'm thinking of. I guess it's just the value that we've evolved for so many years, thousands and thousands of years, because of being part of a tribe and part of a clan and feeling like we belong. Mm-hmm. So that disconnection, that's so prevalent.
Thank you. Linda, as a teacher for 4 decades, do you see the results in your classroom from young people who have been in one way or another disassociated from their tribe or their clan?
Oh, yes. especially when I was working, with the fellas and the gang members for 10 years. And then that's, of course, why they searched out other groups.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
Yeah.
But there's another thing that I always think of when I'm working with them and trying to form groups and things, but if you drop the physical away, there's an energetic flow that they can tap into, that we are all one.
Mm-hmm.
See? And I think it's really kind of the book that people that kind of drilled that into me. We're all one, and we're all in this together. And there's animal messengers that can help you, and the signs are out there. So, I kind of, and maybe that's part of the I've kind of found that energetically, if you can get them to believe or feel that oneness energy. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I believe that as well. And you are a graduate of the Donna Eden School of Energy Medicine, and you've been here at the School of Sacred Studies to very full classrooms of people, wanting to learn more about their energy body and how to step into that moment of being a hollow bone. And it's profound work. And for those of you that are listening, we will be gathering here at the School of Sacred Studies in April for a weekend retreat of ancestral wisdom and healing. And we hope that you join us for that. And if you take a look at schoolofsacredstudies.com, and you go to the classes, you'll see that we will be gathering. And it's going to be an amazing weekend. It's one of 2 weekends that will be happening this year, where we'll be talking about ancestral wisdom and that is born sometimes out of trauma, our connection to Grandmother Earth and those that swim in her oceans and rivers and live upon her and fly above her. We're going to talk about ancestral wisdom and healing. And not only that, but we're going to walk into that and make it part of our life. And because we are, as Linda keeps saying, we're part of this magnificent interconnectedness. And the more that we connect with our ancestors in a good way, and we bring forth the gifts and talents in the bloodlines and in our connection to every other living being, this is how not only do we change, but the world changes. And that's part of the prophecy piece that I started to talk about, and then everything kind of went quiet for a little bit of a minute. But, it's the top of the hour, and we've enjoyed being with you. And, Cad, tonight I'm going to give you the last word. What would you like to say to people about pursuing relationship with Ancestral Totem? Where does somebody begin?
Wow. I think that your point about looking to find out what their coat of arms is a good place to start. Mm-hmm. And most families have some type of coat of arms. It may take a little while to find it, but I think that's a good place to start, because it tells you about what your family was connected to and why they felt connected to that. So
I like that.
Yeah.
And one other thought, I guess I'm not going to just end right there. Nicole, as a therapist, would it be good also then, if there is no coat of arms, maybe to look at our affinity toward animals as we were growing up?
Yeah, and any animal you feel like just a connection with, During this conversation, I was looking at what my tattoo, I have a lizard on my back. And I'm like, I got it when I was so young, and I'm like, what does my lizard mean? And it's all about intuition and listening to your own intuition over anyone else's, and heightened sensitivity. And I'm like, yeah, that's appropriate. So anyway.
I love that. All right. Good night, Linda Grezak.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, Cad.
good night. Thanks so much.
Good night, Nicole.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, Mary Ellen. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. And check it out, schoolofsacredstudies.com. We hope that you can join us in April for what's going to be an astonishing weekend. Blessings be, everybody.
Oh, blessings be.
Well, so that it wasn't a network issue. It was the broadcast itself that was dropped.
Yeah.